Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by Lines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's Thursday night. We've got a roughly 4-game slate here. There is a game in Paris going on between the Bulls and the Pistons. That'll be happening pretty early in the day over here in the States. So we'll be focusing on the other 4 games. In this one, we are taking a look at the marquee matchup. We got the C's playing host to the Golden State Warriors in a matchup of that finals. We are happy to say Steph Curry is playing in this one. We don't know if Jaylen Brown is playing, but we will dive into all of that stuff here in just a minute. Also want you to like and subscribe to that page so you can follow along with us. Check out our other game video and our player props that we're bringing you each and every weekday this season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all our great written content up there and use our odds finder tool to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all those bets you make in the NBA this season. Also want to let you know we do have a special episode about some future stuff, talking with Mark Medina from NBA.com. He surveyed 30 media members that gave him their sort of takes on what's going to happen here in the second half of the season. So we'll talk about how that impacts betting markets with him. Want to make sure to check that out. Nate, let's talk about Thursday night's games here, get into that slate, and then talk about C's and Dubs.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors plus 6.5. It's fluctuated a little bit to 5.5 maybe. And the total has been creeping up from 237 to now 240. So we'll look at that in a second. The Raptors then are -5 in Minnesota. Wolves on a back-to-back. The Nets without KD are actually favored in Phoenix, -1.5. I absolutely love the Suns here tonight. Chris Paul might return. Cam Johnson will return. Ayton is back in there. Tune into that game video to get more on that. And then the Sixers are -2 at Portland. Philly looking good right now, although a lot of teams are looking good when they play the Clippers, which is their last game. So the Warriors, though, I mean, I could say to you, whatever the other stats you want to throw at me, they're 2-0 in high-profile grudge matches over the last month and a half. And that is beating the Celtics at home, beating the Grizzlies on Christmas, again, at home. Yes, they have horrible home-road splits. I don't need to go into the exact numbers. We can just look at the record, which is obviously indicative. It's 17-5 at home, 5-17 on the road and neutral sites, if you count them beating the Spurs recently. And then they did get a win in Washington. Definitely some good signs there in terms of Curry going off for 41 on a very high usage rate. They tried to get him going while Clay rested. And we're talking about a veteran team with extra rest now. After playing that back-to-back, they get 2 full days off going up from D.C. to Boston. And so while they obviously have horrible numbers against the spread on the road, when they get 2 to 3 days off, they are 6-5 against the spread, 7-4 straight up. Also 6-5 to the under and 8-6 to the under with a rest advantage. And again, I know they're going over at a ridiculous clip on the road and have gone over in 6 of their last 7. But when they're underdogs, Josh, 3 straight unders, and that's against good offenses, Portland, Utah, Memphis. And that's on the road as well. So, I mean, their defense has rounded its form a little bit. Draymond playing well. And I'm more concerned that the Celtics, while they have this incredible efficiency during their 7-game win streak, they're back up to a 124 rating. They have an incredible assist-to-turnover ratio. They're hitting 15 threes at 37%. None of that has been the case when they face the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors held them to a very poor assist-to-turnover ratio in the finals and in their last regular season meetings, which, by the way, have gone under 12 of the last 14, and they have not gone over 233 in any of them. The overs were 233 and 218, so that shows you where the offense is at sometimes. The Celtics, I mean, even without Andrew Wiggins out there, the Warriors have a plan in place to contain Jason Tatum, whatever it is. I mean, there wasn't great personnel on December 10th when they played him, but he goes 6 for 21 with a 76 offensive rating against the Warriors, again, just struggling mightily. And the fact that Jaylen Brown might not play, if he's out, like, I love the under here because there is no one to pick up that slack. And then you're just relying on Tatum. The Celtics are playing slower without Jaylen. They're playing more in the half court and just giving the ball to Tatum on the elbow. And he's taking tough shots. I won't say they're bad shots because he hits them a lot, but not against the Warriors. And when he played a good Nets defense, he had his least efficient game in weeks, 7 for 22 from the field. That game went way under. So if Tatum's not going to be efficient, if the ball's not going to be moving as well as it should, for the Celtics, then I definitely look at their offense taking a step down against this team. Obviously they were flowing against the Hornets in their last two matchup, and Tatum dropping 51. But this is the Warriors, and while it's the Warriors on the road, it's the Warriors in a finals rematch as well. And they're going to come to play with extra rest. I do think they keep this game relatively low scoring, as we've seen every time they come out against each other, because on the other end of the floor, you got Marcus Smart, you got Brogdon, you got White hounding the Splash Brothers, and they've done a pretty good job containing them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared. I'm scared of an under, but it's high, so I'm not going to hit it. But I do. Are you saying you do feel good about the Dubs to be able to cover like 6 points?
I would consider it. I would tease it up to 10 points. But yeah, if Jaylen Brown's out, I think they do cover. Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of corrected me on some stuff that I found about what they do without Jaylen Brown this season. It's been 5 games, decent enough sample size, not huge, but in 5 games, 130 offensive rating. They are playing at that 94.8 pace, which is about 4 possessions slower per 100 than they play with him. With him. So. But the thing is, they've played the Hornets not just 2 times. They played the Hornets 3 times. They've played the Pistons once without JB this season, and the other game was Brooklyn that they won on the 12th recently, where I believe Brooklyn was missing some guys as well. But either way, not much to work with there, to be honest, when you're playing the Charlotte Hornets 3 times and the Pistons once. So I'm not necessarily going to look into the fact that they increased their 3-point percentage and all that kind of stuff, but I do think there's something to be said for the fact that Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart just go skyrocket in their contributions on offense and their output and really efficiency as well, which is crazy. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon goes from 13 points a game to 20 when JB's out, not in there, and shooting 65% from the field, 62 from deep. Only a few attempts there, but he does get 5 more attempts a game overall from the field. Marcus Smart goes to 16 points and 10 assists a game, almost 11 in 35 minutes without Jaylen Brown in there. So some really, really good numbers for him as well. Bunch more assists, or a few more assists, not too many, but a few more assists. So I don't know what you want to do with that for the total, but I just think there's enough around Boston to come in and support Jason Tatum. Now, obviously, is Tatum going to be the guy that he's been against the Warriors, basically since the finals, or is he going to, be the guy that easily put up 50 points once again against the Hornets? I think that's an interesting question, but the most important question is the and it's alongside that, is the Golden State Warriors defense going to show up on the road at some point this season? I don't know why you would start banking on it now. That's my only thing. So I think your take here is super sharp, to be honest, because obviously everybody is just liking points between these two teams because of that porous defense for the Dubs. 2-5 on the road in their last 7, allowing about 121 points per game in that time frame. So if obviously this game can still go under if the C's get to 121, but are you really going to be surprised if they get to 125? No, but that's what you're saying you're expecting, right? Is you're saying what these teams have done against each other is going to sort of overcome the way that they've been playing against other teams as of late. The only thing I would caution against as well is that 3-point shooting, and if that's going to be lethal around Jason Tatum tonight, and the other guys are going to be hitting threes, namely the 3 guys that you mentioned, Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, and Marcus Smart. If the 3 of those guys are going to be hitting threes, then obviously it's going to be a long night for the Dubs, who are allowing about 15 made threes a game, dead last in the league when they're on the road, allowing about 41% from 3 on 36 attempts from their opponent. So that's just a ton of points off threes, man, right? Like if you're going to give up all those attempts and makes, there's not a lot of attempt opportunity for any kind of transition buckets that they need as well, which is also something that you get scared about with the Dubs on the road is their defensive rebounding. They really need to finish possessions. So unfortunately their teams are shooting such a high percentage against them, better than 49% from the field, that there's not ample opportunities for defensive rebounds, to be honest, which is another issue. So it's really just going to be about, do they come along on defense at all? I think they can score, and like you were saying, I think Steph Curry can get his, even though there's been some pretty solid work done against the Splash Brothers in general. Curry gets his against this team and sort of just pulls certain superhuman feats out of his ass, which I think is what you're worried about in taking the Celtics at this current spread. So I understand that, but it does seem to feel like if Steph Curry is going to do that to keep this team close, that's going to mean points on both sides, and that's where I get a little bit worried about an under, even though it is so high. And I don't know if I feel like they can come along, and I do like the Celtics to be able to pull this one out by about 5 or 6 points, and Winfield bet a few units hitting that.
Yeah, I mean, there's just as much reason to be concerned about the Warriors' offense in this particular matchup and on the road, and how much it dips. Even though Steph is back and Klay is playing at a high level here, so you say the Celtics can get to 121 and it can still go under. It could go way under because the Warriors could just sit in the middle of the third quarter and score like 98 like they have in this matchup at times. And it can go the other way too. I mean, it's just all about the intensity that these teams bring when they play each other, that there's just not going to be the same kind of free-flowing easy buckets you see when the Warriors play the Spurs or, take the Hawks, some team there that's just like fun. It's all fun and games and Steph's just chucking up. Steph can go off, and I'm taking him over in player props, and I'll take Klay Thompson over 22 points, and I'll still say this game's going under. 240 is a crazy total right now when you have teams that are playing at a championship level, that are capable of it. I won't put the Warriors on that level because they are not right now consistently, but they're capable of it, and they've shown even as far as 6 weeks ago when they played the Celtics that they will ratchet it up and play at that level when they really deem the game important. And I think their only trip to Boston here, I just think there's going to be too much intensity here for it to be a 120 game and for us to get over this unless it goes to overtime or something.
Fair. And I would also add, I'd be remiss to not mention that in that Wizards game, the Dubs were kind of looking pretty grotesque. They were down by almost double digits or so at one point. Until a fan started heckling Draymond. And then Draymond went clean off. Joe Lacob, owner of the Warriors, actually went up to the fan and invited him to Boston. I don't know if he's going, but he literally invited him to Boston to motivate Draymond to continue to play defense. If that's the case, maybe the Dubs come out and this is a much lower. I think either way, it's going to be hype, as it's important for the Dubs. They need to come out and at least show that they can play in this game. Otherwise, I don't know what kind of confidence that they would have going into this playoff run. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely going to be a fun game. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along all this great stuff we're bringing you guys. Until we see you next, happy betting.